Before we begin, don't adjust your breathing. Don't correct your posture. Don't try to arrive anywhere calmer than where you already are. Just notice that you are here, inside a moment that will not last. Tonight, we're not meditating to escape impermanence. We're sitting close enough to feel its warmth. Because most of life is built on a quiet assumption that things will stay. We build houses as if weather is a rumor. We form routines as if mornings are guaranteed. We speak about plans as if time is a contract we've already signed. Stone walls rise with the confidence of centuries. Institutions organize themselves as if relevance is permanent. Identities harden. This is who I am. This is how it will be. As though the future has agreed not to interfere. Even fear assumes permanence. It whispers, this feeling will never leave. Success does the same, promising this will always matter. And beneath all of it runs a shared, unspoken belief that what exists now is meant to keep existing. But impermanence is not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't knock. It waits. It waits while cities hum, while empires legislate their own longevity. While you tell yourself that this phase, good or bad, is somehow stable. Consider how rarely we prepare for change without forcing it. We ensure against disaster, but not against fading. We plan for growth, not erosion. We brace for endings, not for quiet transformation. Most things do not shatter. They thin. They soften at the edges. They lose relevance before they lose form. They remain standing long after they stop being what they were. Think of buildings you've walked past without seeing. Still upright, still functional, but hollowed of purpose. Think of roles you once inhabited completely, versions of yourself that felt permanent at the time. Ambitions, relationships, certainties. They didn't explode. They dissolved. And the illusion of permanence didn't vanish all at once. It slipped away in increments too small to notice. That illusion is comforting. It helps us get through the day. It allows effort to feel justified and pain to feel contained. But it also creates suffering when reality fails to comply. Because when we believe things are meant to last, change feels like theft. Loss feels personal. Endings feel like violations. Impermanence becomes frightening, not because it exists, but because we pretended it wouldn't. So tonight, instead of fighting that truth, we're simply acknowledging it. Not as a threat, not as a lesson, just as a condition of being alive. Everything you can name is temporary. Not fragile, temporary. There's a difference. Stone is temporary. Empires are temporary. Fear is temporary. Success is temporary. And yes, so are you. That statement isn't meant to unsettle you. It's meant to unburden you. Because if nothing lasts forever, then nothing has to. You don't have to preserve this moment. You don't have to freeze yourself in a version that no longer fits. You don't have to extract meaning that will survive eternity. You only have to be present while it's here. The illusion of permanence asks you to hold tightly. Impermanence asks something gentler. It asks you to notice. Notice the body you're in, changing, even as you listen. Notice the thoughts rising and dissolving without needing to be kept. Notice how this moment is already passing without asking your permission. This is not loss. This is motion. And nothing in motion is asking to be owned. As this meditation continues, we won't rush toward acceptance. We won't demand peace. We'll begin by loosening the idea that anything was ever promised to stay. Just for now, let the illusion rest. Let stone be stone. Let systems be provisional. Let identities breathe. You are not failing by changing. You are not losing ground because something shifts. You are participating in the most honest rhythm there is. And in the next chapter, we'll look at how time takes things not violently, but quietly, and why that matters more than we think. For now, stay here, not because it will last, but because it is here at all. Chapter 2: What Time Takes Quietly. Time is rarely dramatic. It does not usually arrive with a sound or an announcement, or a moment where everyone agrees that something has ended. Most of what time takes from us, it takes gently, so gently that we often don't notice until we turn around and realize something is gone. Tonight, we're not sitting with collapse. We're sitting with erosion, the kind that happens while life appears normal, while buildings still stand, while routines still function, while names, roles, and identities continue to answer when called. Time does not rush in and knock things over. It leans. It rests its weight. It waits. Think of stone steps, worn smooth, not by catastrophe, but by feet. Thousands of ordinary feet, arriving and leaving, never intending to change anything. And yet, eventually, the edge softens, the shape alters, the stone remembers. This is how most things leave us. Not all at once, not cleanly, but in increments so small they feel reversible, until they are not. A habit fades because it was skipped once, then twice, then forgotten. A friendship thins because conversations shorten, pauses lengthen, effort becomes heavier. A place loses meaning not because it disappears, but because it stops being returned to. Time doesn't announce these moments. It lets them pass quietly, trusting that we are distracted enough not to interfere. And we usually are. We tend to think of loss as something that happens suddenly. A fire, a fall, a final conversation, a door slammed shut. But most loss is not loud. It's subtle. It's realizing that the last time already happened, and you didn't recognize it as such. The last walk taken without knowing it was the last. The last version of yourself that existed before a slow change rewrote you. This is not meant to frighten you. This is meant to soften something. Because if time took everything loudly, we would resist it constantly. We would live in defense. But because time takes things quietly, it invites a different relationship. One where noticing becomes more important than holding. Right now, as you rest here, nothing dramatic is happening. Your breathing continues. The room remains. Your life has not suddenly changed in the last few minutes. And yet, time is still moving. It always is. Not to take something from you in this moment, but to remind you that change doesn't need permission. Consider the fears you once carried that no longer live in your body. They didn't explode out of you. They dissolved. At some point, without a clear decision, they stopped asking for your attention, stopped tightening your chest, stopped waking you at night. You didn't defeat them. Time simply carried them away while you were busy becoming someone else. The same is true of successes. There were moments that once felt permanent, accomplishments that defined you, victories that felt like a rival, and then, quietly, they became part of the background, still true, still real, but no longer demanding to be held tightly. Time does not erase meaning. It redistributes it. It takes intensity and spreads it thinner until it becomes memory, texture, atmosphere. This is often mistaken for loss, but it is not the same thing. Time takes urgency before it takes substance. It removes sharp edges first. And because of that, we often don't realize we are grieving until long after the fact. Let yourself notice what has changed without asking how or why. Notice how certain worries feel quieter now than they once did. Notice how some ambitions no longer pull as hard. Notice how identities you once protected now rest loosely, like coats you could set down if you wished. None of this means you failed to hold on. It means time did what time does, and you survived it. We often fear impermanence because we imagine it as theft. But what if it is closer to weather? Weather does not steal the landscape, it shapes it. Rain does not erase stone, it teaches it how to curve. And you are not exempt from this process. You are being shaped, not violently, not urgently, but patiently, even now. So as you rest, let yourself stop tracking what might disappear next. Let go of the instinct to guard every moment as if it were fragile. Some things are meant to pass quietly. Some phases are meant to fade without ceremony. Some versions of you were always temporary shelters, not permanent homes. Time will continue to move whether you brace against it or not. And tonight, you are allowed to soften into that movement, to stop watching the clock, to stop auditing change, to stop mistaking gradual transformation for danger. Nothing is being taken from you right now. Something is simply continuing, and you are still here, breathing, resting, existing inside a moment that does not need to last forever in order to be enough. Let that be true. Let time do its quiet work, and for now, let yourself stay. Chapter 3. Why Impermanence Frightens Us. There is a quiet reason impermanence unsettles us so deeply. It is not only the fear of loss, it is the fear of becoming unnecessary to the story. Settle where you are, not to escape this feeling, but to observe it, the way one watches weather approach without needing to name the storm. Impermanence frightens us because it threatens continuity, and continuity is how the mind keeps itself oriented. It wants lines, not interruptions. It wants before and after to make sense. It wants proof that what you build, who you are, and what you love will remain recognizable long enough to justify the effort. From the moment we learn language, we are trained to expect duration. We are told who we are becoming. We are encouraged to invest time, emotion, loyalty into things framed as lasting. Careers, relationships, cities, beliefs. Even fear itself becomes familiar enough to feel stable. Impermanence disrupts this arrangement. It reminds us that nothing we lean on has signed a contract. That stone erodes, that systems age, that identities evolve or collapse, that success has a half-life. That fear, too, will one day stop knocking, sometimes before we're ready for it to go. And the mind resists this not because it is weak, but because it is protective. If things pass, then effort feels risky. If everything changes, then attachment feels dangerous. If endings are inevitable, then beginnings feel irresponsible. So the mind tightens its grip. It clings to patterns, to routines, to versions of itself that once felt safe. It revisits moments, not because they were perfect, but because they were known. It resists endings, not because they are painful, but because they are uncharted. Impermanence frightens us because it asks a question we are rarely taught how to answer. Who are you when nothing stays still long enough to define you? There is also the quieter fear beneath all others, the fear of being forgotten, not dramatically erased, not wiped from history books, but gently absorbed into the background, outlived by newer buildings, newer systems, newer voices. Empires feared this. That is why they carved their names into stone. That is why they built monuments heavy enough to outlast memory. That is why they wrote laws and borders and myths designed to survive them. But even empires learned what we all eventually learn. Time does not rush, and it does not argue. It waits. Fear arises when we sense that waiting. When we notice that what once felt permanent now feels provisional. When we realize that the version of ourselves we worked so hard to become is already loosening its grip. When we see success fading into maintenance. When fear itself grows tired of being carried. And still, we resist. We resist because impermanence feels like a verdict, as though change is judging what came before, as though endings are failures instead of transitions, as though fading means less rather than complete. But impermanence is not an accusation. It is not a punishment. It is not proof that something didn't matter. It is simply the condition of existing inside time. Notice how fear behaves in the presence of impermanence. It wants reassurance. It wants guarantees. It wants permanence promised retroactively. And when it cannot get that, it creates noise, anxiety, overthinking, urgency where none is required. But tonight, you are not being asked to solve this fear, only to see it clearly. See how it arises not from loss itself, but from attachment to duration, from the belief that meaning requires forever, from the assumption that value must be preserved to remain valid. Let that belief soften, just slightly. Consider this. If nothing ended, nothing would begin. If nothing faded, nothing would stand out. If nothing changed, nothing would be chosen. Impermanence frightens us because it removes the illusion of control, but it also removes the burden of maintenance. It reminds us that we are not responsible for holding the world in place, that we are participants, not anchors. You do not have to keep everything. You do not have to remain who you were. You do not have to fear the passing of what has already given you what it could. Sit with that thought gently, not as comfort, as truth. Fear quiets when it is no longer argued with, when it is allowed to exist without being fed, when it is seen as a response, not a prophecy. Impermanence frightens us only as long as we believe it is here to take something away. But what if it is here to release you from carrying what no longer needs you? Rest there for a moment, not resolving the fear, not erasing it, just noticing how it loosens when you stop demanding permanence from a world built on movement. We will continue when you are ready. Chapter 4. What impermanence gives back. If everything passed forever unchanged, nothing would touch us. We tend to think of impermanence only in terms of what it takes, what it removes, what it erodes, what it ends. But impermanence also gives. It gives weight. It gives texture. It gives consequence. Take a moment to consider this gently, not as a concept, but as a feeling. A building matters because it can fall. A relationship matters because it can change. A moment matters because it will not repeat itself in exactly this way again. If nothing ever left us, nothing would arrive as precious. Impermanence is the reason your attention sharpens when you realize time is passing. It is why sunsets feel heavier than noon, why final conversations linger longer than casual ones, why memory grows warmer when it knows it cannot return. Notice how this lands in the body. There is often a soft resistance here, a tightening, a reflex to argue with the idea. That's natural. We've been trained to believe that permanence equals safety, that lasting means successful, that continuity is proof of worth. But permanence is not what creates meaning. Contrast does. Light only exists because shadow does. Presence only matters because absence will follow. This breath feels complete because another breath will eventually replace it. Without impermanence, nothing would stand out long enough to be loved. Even fear depends on impermanence. Fear assumes loss. Fear assumes change. Fear assumes endings. But fear also assumes importance. We fear losing what matters. And what matters is what does not stay forever. Let that idea soften instead of resist. You are not being asked to celebrate loss. You are not being asked to dismiss grief. You are being invited to see that impermanence is not a flaw in the design. It is the design. Empires rose because they were not eternal. They invested, expanded, imagined futures, precisely because time was limited. Buildings were carved because stone was shaped, not infinite. Lives were lived fully because they were finite, not endless. Even success, so often chased as something permanent, only feels meaningful because it arrives and leaves. Think of something you once achieved, something that mattered deeply at the time. Notice how it no longer holds you the same way, not because it was meaningless, but because its purpose was fulfilled. Impermanence allows completion without erasure. It says, this mattered then, and that is enough. There is a quiet generosity in that. It means you are not required to carry every version of yourself forever. Outgrow what once defined you. You are allowed to release identities that did their job and stepped aside. Nothing has to remain to have been real. Even fear itself is temporary. The fear you felt years ago is not the fear you feel now. The fear you feel now will not feel the same in the future. Fear moves. Fear shifts. Fear dissolves, often without announcement. Impermanence gives relief, even as it removes. It ensures that pain does not get the final word, that no emotion, no failure, no version of yourself gets to stay in charge indefinitely. Let that settle. There is a tenderness here that we often miss. If everything lasted forever, there would be no forgiveness, only accumulation, no renewal, only repetition, no rest, only endurance. Impermanence creates pauses. It creates space for sleep, for breath, for letting go without needing to justify it. Notice your breathing now. Not to change it, not to deepen it. Just to recognize that each breath replaces the last, and that this replacement is not a loss. It is a continuation. Impermanence does not erase meaning. It concentrates it like a short poem instead of an endless paragraph. Like a single hour instead of an infinite day. The fact that this moment will pass is not a reason to fear it. It is a reason to let it be exactly what it is. Without clinging, without bracing, without demanding it stay longer than it can. You don't have to rush this understanding. You don't have to agree with it. Just allow the possibility that impermanence is not only what takes things away, but also what gives them shape. And as you rest here, in this moment that will quietly become another moment, you may begin to sense something gentle beneath the idea of loss, a permission to stop gripping, to stop preserving, to stop asking things to last longer than they were meant to. What remains does not need to be permanent to be enough, and neither do you. Chapter 5. Letting go of always. There is a word the mind leans on when it is tired of being afraid. A word it uses like a railing in the dark. Always. We tell ourselves things will always be this way, that people will always be here, that safety, strength, love, relevance, youth, certainty, that these things once found can be held indefinitely. Always is not a promise we make to the future. It is a bargain we make with fear. And tonight, gently, we are loosening our grip on that bargain, not tearing it away, not arguing with it, just letting our fingers relax, because impermanence does not ask you to abandon stability. It only asks you to stop mistaking stability for permanence. Take a slow breath here, not the kind meant to fix anything, just enough to notice where your body is resting right now. Notice how even in this stillness, nothing is truly frozen. Breath enters, breath leaves, a muscle softens, another adjusts. The moment shifts quietly, without asking your permission. This is not instability. This is life doing what it has always done. The fear around impermanence often comes from expectations built on the word always. I will always feel this way. They will always love me. I will always be able to do this. This will always work. This pain will always return. Some of these hopes comfort us. Some of them haunt us. But they all share the same fragile assumption, that reality owes us consistency. And reality, gently but firmly, has never agreed to that contract. Think for a moment, not sharply, just softly, about something you once believed would last forever. Not with regret, not with longing, just as a fact. Perhaps it was a place, a version of yourself, a season where everything felt aligned. At the time, you didn't label it as temporary. You simply lived inside it. That doesn't make you naive. It makes you human. We are not taught how to hold things lightly. We are taught how to secure, preserve, reinforce, and defend. We build lives the way we build buildings, assuming permanence is the goal. But even the most enduring structures do not last because they are permanent. They last because they adapt, because they weather, because they change shape without collapsing. Stability, when it is healthy, is not rigid. It is responsive. Letting go of always does not mean embracing chaos. It means releasing the expectation that calm must be uninterrupted to be real. It means understanding that safety does not come from guarantees. It comes from trust in your ability to meet what changes. And you have already done this more times than you remember. You have survived endings that once felt unbearable. You have adapted to losses you thought would undo you. You have learned new rhythms after old ones dissolved. Not because you wanted to, but because you could. Impermanence did not break you, it shaped you. The fear of loss often whispers that if nothing lasts, then nothing is safe. But impermanence offers a quieter truth. Because nothing lasts, you do not have to carry it forever. You do not have to preserve every moment. You do not have to lock every door against change. You do not have to keep proving who you are to remain worthy of existing. There is relief here, if you let it arrive. Imagine for a moment setting down the word always, not throwing it away, just placing it gently beside you. In its place, consider a softer phrase. For now. This works for joy. This works for pain. This works for effort. This works for rest. I am safe for now. This hurts for now. This matters for now. I am here for now. For now does not diminish meaning. It protects it. Because when something is no longer required to last forever, it can be fully experienced in the moment it exists. Success does not need to define you permanently to be meaningful. Fear does not need to vanish forever to loosen its grip. Peace does not need to stay to be real. This moment, this exact configuration of breath, awareness, and quiet, is enough simply because it is happening. Notice how your body responds to this idea, not with analysis, just sensation. Perhaps there is resistance, perhaps relief, perhaps both. Let them coexist. Letting go of always is not an act of loss. It is an act of trust. Trust that when change comes, you will meet it. Trust that when stability shifts, you will reorient. Trust that you do not need to freeze time to belong in it. Tonight, you are not being asked to release everything you care about. Only the belief that caring requires permanence. Rest here for a moment, not anchored to forever, not bracing against change, just resting inside what exists, knowing it will move, and knowing you will move with it. In the next chapter, we will not seek resolution. We will not search for guarantees. We will simply rest inside the temporary and discover that peace does not disappear when things change. It often arrives because they do. Chapter 6, Resting Inside the Temporary. Now we arrive at the part most people rush past. Not the understanding, not the insight, but the resting. You don't need to do anything here. You don't need to agree with impermanence, or celebrate it, or turn it into wisdom you can quote later. You only need to notice that you are inside something temporary, and that you are still here. Take a breath, not to calm yourself, but to locate yourself. Air moves in, Air moves out. Even this breath does not stay. And yet, for a moment, it holds you. Impermanence is often described as loss, but right now it is presence. This exact configuration of breath, body, thought, and silence will never happen again. And because of that, it doesn't need to last. It only needs to be felt. You may notice the mind wanting to move forward, to ask what happens next, to secure something permanent out of this quiet moment. That instinct is old. You don't need to fight it. Just notice it like weather passing across a wide sky. The sky doesn't stop the clouds. It doesn't chase them. It remains. You are allowed to remain. Impermanence does not mean instability in the way we fear it. It means motion. And motion does not require panic. Rivers move constantly, yet they feel steady. The night moves toward morning every single day without asking permission. Your life, too, has been moving this whole time, through changes you survived, through endings you thought would undo you, through successes that didn't stay, and fears that didn't either. You are not resting despite impermanence. You are resting within it. Let that settle. There is a quiet relief in realizing that nothing is asking you to be fixed forever. No version of you has to remain intact. No moment has to justify itself by lasting. This moment exists, and that is enough. If the mind brings images, a building that no longer stands, a relationship that shifted, a version of yourself that feels distant now, let them appear without commentary. They are not warnings. They are not failures. They are proof that time has been moving, and that you have been moving with it. Impermanence does not erase meaning. It creates it. A song matters because it ends. The season matters because it turns. A life matters because it is finite. You don't need to hold this truth tightly. You can let it rest beside you, like a lamp left on in another room. Notice the weight of your body where it meets the surface beneath you. That pressure is real. It is temporary. It is enough. Notice any effort still lingering. The effort to understand, to remember, to make something useful out of this meditation. You can set that effort down now. Nothing is being tested here. Nothing is being measured. Even awareness is allowed to soften. Impermanence does not demand urgency. It invites intimacy. This moment does not need to last longer. It only needs to be inhabited fully. And you are doing that already. If fear arises, fear of what will change next, or what cannot be protected, let it be met with the same gentleness you would offer a tired traveler. Fear, too, is temporary. It passes through like everything else. You are not required to outrun it. You are allowed to rest while it moves. There is a deep kindness in accepting that stability is not the absence of change, but the ability to remain present as change occurs. You don't have to anchor yourself to outcomes. You can anchor yourself to experience, to breath, to quiet, to the simple fact of being here now. Nothing lasts. And right now, that is not a threat. It is permission. Permission to stop gripping the edges of time. Permission to stop asking permanence to do a job it was never designed for. Permission to let this moment be enough, even as it moves toward becoming something else. You may feel the body growing heavier, thoughts thinning out, awareness widening rather than sharpening. That is not you disappearing. That is you resting inside what is temporary, without resisting it. There is no need to prepare for the next moment. It will arrive on its own. For now, let yourself remain exactly here, inside change, inside passing, inside this brief, unrepeatable configuration of existence. This moment lingers, and then it goes. Just like all the others, and just like all the others, it leaves you still here. Rest.